Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We are taking the AGL SSJ GOKU VEGETA into Red Zone. This is like, I think my 6th attempt at trying to do this video. Like, I'm not gonna lie, using them at 55% has been a struggle in Red Zone. So, I mean, maybe with dupes, they could be able to handle a mega. You know, it was like a quick kind of estimation, I guess. I think maybe the only way they handle a mega is quite a lot of units and like a lot of other units in the game. You need them to avoid a super, and I think a dupe would probably go a long way, because then at least you can get an additional off, raise their defense by 30% again, and then get the additional off in the dupe system, and in total you can raise your attack and defense 3 times in one turn. However, at 55%, I think the only way they are viable against Broly right now is if they do not get supered once. And that additional super always has to come off. If not, they take far too much damage. Like, let me put in a clip right now of them taking a super during their first 3 turns with the 40% damage reduction. 1 super, and I think a Whis is active, it might not be. All I know is they had the full damage reduction 3 turns, they supered once, not twice, and they get hit by 300k on a super on a Mega's first phase, his weakest phase with the Shadow Dragons, and he takes 300k on a super. That's crazy. Like, as I said, I don't think they're a bad unit, they're not anything amazing, they're not overpowered. Their damage output is really good. That I'm 100% certain on. Their damage output is fantastic. You know, when you consider once the morale boost comes off, especially, you know, you hit the 24 key, they're guaranteed critting, which means the amount of actual raw damage they do to enemies is, you know, 3+ million. Then they get a guaranteed additional, which has a high chance of becoming a super attack. The amount of damage they can do in a turn is very impressive. Do not get me wrong, it is up there. But defensively, you know, I've been saying this a lot, it's just not up to par. It's just not up to scratch. It's not good enough. Like, it's not even on standard. And as I said, the literal simple fix to this, the one thing they needed, which is why you need the additional super to come off, is literally greatly raised attack and defense on one of the 18 keys. Literally, that would have helped them so much, especially with that additional, then raising their attack and defense by 30% on top of a 50% would help them tank so much more consistently in Red Zone and not make them such liabilities, especially at 55%. So I'm still really not sure. I'm so baffled as to why they did that. Like, literally, I saw a tweet a couple days ago and I fully agree with it now. The more I use these two, the more I don't really like them that much. Like, don't get me wrong, the animations are amazing. They're a lot of fun to use. They go on a great 200% leads. They link really well with a lot of very good units. Go with a lot of very good units on these categories. Birdcoo being one of them. Like, that's such a great rotation for them, which of course I'm running right now. But it's just, defensively, they're just not good enough. Like, they don't need to be tanking everything for nothing. I've said this already, they don't need to be defensive gods. But in terms of an actual standard for Red Zone, it's just not good enough. Like, even if you gave them the greatly raised attack and defense on 18 key, they would still probably take a fair chunk of damage on a super. They just wouldn't get you killed like that, like your entire health bar. I said they took 300k damage from the Shadow Dragons phase of Mega Shenron's Red Zone stage. That's bad. And I said that was during the first 3 turns where they have their full 40% damage reduction, 1 super. Didn't get the additional. If they got the additional, they would tank far better. Like, literally in this run, I think almost the same thing happens, but they get the double off and they tank so much better. Without the extra super, they take so much damage. I mean, I may have used an item this time and didn't last time, I can't remember. But even so, that's still bad. Like, as I've already stated, I think in the ESBR video, this unit is so reliant on RNG of you getting that additional super off. Like, the fact is guaranteed, the additional itself is guaranteed, is good. But if the super doesn't come off, as I said, they can take so much damage. Like, yes, you can use an item, which obviously is gonna cushion, you know, the majority of the blow, but they're still taking far too much damage. As I said, they rely too much on RNG to get an additional super off, so they don't get absolutely mollywopped. But other than that, as I said, they link really well. They go on some very good 200% category leads. They do some very good damage, especially with the built-in crit if you do get it off after the morale boost and get the guaranteed crit on the 24 key. But defensively, for red zone, they're just not good enough. You know, if you manage to get some dupes in them, as I said, that will make them a whole lot better. It's still very RNG reliant. You know, if you end up missing the built-in additional, or you end up missing that becoming a super attack, at least you kind of have almost a second chance to get one off, so they can tank a bit better. And then ideally, if you have a dupe, which again is still RNG reliant, but it will help them massively in the long run. You hit a super attack, you manage to get the built-in additional come off, you also manage to get another additional. Not only will the combined damage be amazing, because of course you have the guaranteed crit, also there's a chance that, was it medium chance to crit anyway, but still if you hit 24 key, they crit, the total amount of damage they do off 3 supers is great, especially because they're raising their attack and defense each time, but more importantly, they're raising their defense 3 times, which means you can raise their defense in total by 90%, which would help them so much in being a lot more consistently defensive in red zone. If you don't have dupes like me at 55%, they are, for the most part, quite lackluster. They are, unfortunately. I do kind of think they were a little bit of a letdown. And as I said, all it would have taken is just 118 key, greatly raising attack and defense, and they would have been a whole lot better at being able to tank during red zone and a whole lot more consistent. Just such a weird design choice for me. Such a weird design choice. But, you know, outside of that, because I feel like I've kind of nitpicked them and moaned about them a lot. As I said, their damage output is great. They deal a lot of damage. You know, that rotation with Birdcoo is fantastic because, you know, you have Birdcoo doing his thing in slot 1 with the guard, the stacking, the revive. You know, of course, you can even go for, like, forcing the revive to come off early so he guards at all times. Even then, he's still going to be stacking the whole time. They share, what, 4 out of 5 links out of 7. And then the AGL Goku and Vegeta can sit there dealing, you know, as much damage as they possibly can, which is why they're there. You know, an extra attack or defense link or both probably would have done them some good, rather than just pure key links, especially because they do get a decent amount of key because of what they get at the start of turn, and then the key they get per type keys for obtained. But yeah, I mean, outside of, as I said, all the kind of negatives, the amount of damage they do is great. You know, even on this phase, you know, we're facing the strength phase right now. The amount of damage they do against him, fantastic. I mean, obviously, even with type advantage. But even with type advantage, with 1 super, which typically on a lot of, you know, 2022 units, the kind of standard right now, and even Easy A's, 1 super from them on a type advantage unit, they probably would have tanked for double digits. 1 super attack with 20% damage reduction pre-morale boost on the LR Goku and Vegeta while having type advantage, they tank for 20k. That's crazy. 20% damage reduction, 1 super where you raise attack and defense by 30%, and they tank for 20k. Obviously there, I think we may have had an item active, but 1 super and they don't tank, even with type advantage, they don't even tank for double digits consistently. Which is crazy. I think at first I didn't really agree with it, but because I've used them quite a lot now, especially at just purely attempting red zone against the Mega, I do think I'm going to go to the lengths of agreeing that they are probably the worst LR released this year so far, which for Global's only just really started. Well, Global Dokkan Fest. You know, that also kind of, to kind of be fair, that kind of shows how good the others are, like Cooler, you know, the Year 7s. They are ridiculously good. I do think so far they're the worst one. You know, are they terrible? No. Are they bad? No. Are they still like top 10 in the game? More than likely. But they're not anything ridiculous. Like, I think if I'd seen what I'd seen now and managed to experience using them prior to actually pulling them, kind of like a good old Blockbusters, you know, I got to rent them or something, I probably wouldn't have summoned for them. I'm not gonna lie, I thought, I kind of had my slight doubts at first, but I thought, you know, once I use them, maybe I'll, you know, maybe they'll be a lot better when I use them. Yeah, no. I kind of wish I didn't summon for them. I feel like saving my stones probably would have been the better option, because I don't really think they're needed. However, the fact that I did pull them does mean I get to make content on them, which also helps, and 200% lead videos around there, 200% lead, things like that. So I guess it's kind of, it's not really all doom and gloom, but yeah, they're still a good unit. The damage output is good. They can defend relatively well, but you are too reliant on getting that additional super off for you to do that. And I do think in the long run, them being at 55%, they are not going to age too well. Damage-wise, yes. Other than that, they're not going to age that well. I do think this is a unit you really need a dupe in. But, you know, a lot of us probably wouldn't have got lucky enough to pull a dupe. Or, you know, like me, and probably like you guys as well, you would have stopped as soon as you pulled your first copy. And unfortunately, us with them at 55%, they are going to age very quickly. Very, very quickly. They're probably going to turn as quick as milk. But after quite a few attempts, they did finally actually manage to beat a Mega Shenron. For the most part, them getting locked off in like the earlier phases probably done them a favor to help avoid them taking a lot of damage. And again, because this took me like 5-6 attempts, and this happened before, avoided them getting me killed. And them eventually slowly coming back on as we were partway through the second phase where they have type advantage, and they can get through us get us through that phase a whole lot quicker with the amount of damage they do while having type advantage, and then have them on rotation against a Mega in the final phase, where of course he doesn't super until he KOs us. So yeah, them getting kind of locked and phased out of rotation kind of actually helped them perform a lot better, but that's kind of saying something of how inconsistent they are defensively if them getting locked out of rotation when the whole video is about them ends up helping them in the long run. But yeah, I think my final verdict on them has to be they're a good unit, fantastic damage output, not good enough defensively. And yeah, you probably have better choices over them if I'm being completely honest, but do let me know what you think down in the comments. I actually managed to get a bird coup run because of them against the Mega ready, so I'll upload that tomorrow. But don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video, guys, and peace!